Okay, call me when they get here. Gunny clipped the little radio to his belt. Greg and Rob arrived at the site, and their faces drained of all color when they saw Kurt. Mark looked at the others who were gathered around and noticed that most of the men were fixated on Susan and doing their best not to cry. Mark had heard of this happening in combat. If a female got killed, the men would stop and stare at the body, not able to accept the fact that she was dead like they could with the man. Mark had to agree that, as disturbing as it was to see anyone killed, looking at the dead woman who he'd fought with side by side bothered him more. Mark had to make himself look away from her crumpled body. He saw Rob shake his head as if to wake himself up, and then the ex-policeman took on a cold, clinical look Mark was sure was the result of years of training. "Tell me exactly what happened," he requested. Mark gave him the same sequence of events he'd given to Gunny. "Where were you standing?" Rob asked. "Right here, beside Susan," Mark pointed at the spot. "Lucky shooting," one of the helpers from outside the neighborhood said. "I don't think it was luck," Rob said. "They shot from almost a half a mile away. It took someone with considerable skill to make a shot from that distance. I think he hit Kurt on purpose." "Why would someone want to kill Kurt?" Greg asked. "And Susan," someone added. "That's the question, isn't it?" Rob said matter-of-factly, as he looked at the bodies without touching them. "Since Kurt was shot first, I'd say he was their target. You don't stay in law enforcement as long as Kurt did and not make a few enemies. The other shots were probably just to create confusion so the snipers could get away. Since Susan froze, she was just a target of opportunity," he said, as if he were giving a boring lecture to a bunch of disinterested college freshmen. He squatted down next to Kurt. "This is strange," he said, more to himself than anyone else. "What's that?" Gunny asked. "The bullets hit them both through the chest cavity at about the same place. In through one side and out the other. Susan has damage to both arms, but Kurt's arms weren't hit at all." "That's because his arms were up like this," Mark demonstrated. "Why?" "There was a nice breeze just before he was shot, and he picked up his arms to let it cool him off." "Which way did the wind come from?" Rob asked, as if he were disturbed by Mark's revelation. His all-business disposition melted into one of confusion. "That way," Mark pointed behind him. He saw Rob and Gunny exchange a glance that he didn't understand. More and more people were coming. "Gunny, can you get some of your guys to keep everyone back?" Rob asked. The old devil dog barked at several men, and they formed a line and pushed the onlookers back. Gunny was looking at them when Jim came running up behind the human barricade. "Rob," Gunny said softly, "Jim's one of the best long-range shooters I've ever seen. Do you want to see what he thinks?" "Yeah." Gunny told one of the guys to let Jim through.